Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Strong Dad Army podcast. Today I'm pretty blown over. I've managed to get this guy on the podcast today. As mentioned in the intro, my guest today is former super bantamweight and featherweight champion of the world, Frampton. Mental. What are you doing on this podcast, mate?
You invited me on. I
Yeah.
know you had Jimmy Moore on recently as well, and
I did, mate. Yeah.
I seen you down the gym there with Nigel,
Yeah.
Nigel Travis, and that was it really. So you've asked me to come on, and come on.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. I really appreciate it. It's one of those things. Sometimes people will say, "How have you managed to get that going?" And the way I just say, "Look, the worst that someone can say to me is." Fuck off if I say fancy it. They just say, no, you're all right. Right, mate. So thanks again for coming on, mate. So, like I always do, we'll start at the beginning, really, mate. Just, give us a bit of a insight into your childhood or something like that, mate. What were you like as a young lad growing up in Ireland? Were you a good lad, a bit of a bad lad, good at school? What was life like for you, mate?
I was all right. I was an all right kid. I wasn't. I was shy. Pretty quiet enough. Loved football. Loved boxing, obviously. Grew up in a place called Tigers Bay, which is pretty rough, right on an interface in Belfast.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a lot of trouble. Probably got involved in that a wee bit, but more out of just like being a kid, and that was the thing to do, and it was exciting. But I think boxing probably kept me away from it, really. Really getting seriously involved in it. I never got seriously involved in anything bad, but I was just a normal kid, mate. Just as normal, working class kid out kicking footballs against walls and doing the things you do.
So when did boxing, start to take a part in your life, whether it was just from watching it or actually getting involved?
Well, I was really young when I started. I was only 7 years old, so that's pretty young. And reason it was like I'm not from a big boxing family or anything. It was just more out of curiosity, really. I knew there was a boxing club in walking distance from my house, and I just wanted to see what it was like and try it out. And I asked my mum to bring me down. I think she brought me and maybe there was another 4 or 5 was down, friends of mine, and that was it, really. I just loved it. And the main thing, the thing that really got me hooked, I think, was when I was sparring. Like, if someone with a bit of a mouth had have said something to me in the street, I'd have shit myself and walked away. But when we were sparring in the club, I used to beat the loudmouths up, and I think I just felt great from that, and that's what got me hooked.
So obviously you started really young. So when did you actually compete? Was it as young as 7, or was it a few years later? Or
No, I'm a first fight as a 7-year-old, which is very young. You wouldn't get away with it these days. Health and safety and child protection rules and everything else, but a bit different when I was 7. And I probably to be a carded boxer where your fights are actually recorded and you're on a medical card. You have to be 11 years old. I probably had 40 or 50 fights before I was 11, so I had a bit of a head start on most of the kids around that age.
Mm-hmm. So with obviously starting so young and it being such a big part of your life, was it always, even back then, an ambition to turn pro, let alone obviously be any kind of champion? Was that something you thought, or did it just sort of fall into place eventually?
No, I wanted to be a professional fighter, like, and that was something. I knew I was decent at it, and I always got a wee bit of praise around the area. And a lot of people just knew me as the boxer. Like, some people may not have even knew my name, but to see me walk into the club and they were, there's the boxer. And I always wanted to be a professional. And that was it, really. I wanted to be a professional world champion, and obviously I've been able to do that, and it's something I'm very proud of. But that was a real belief and a goal of mine as a kid. But first goal was probably football, to be honest. I enjoyed football more than boxing. But when you get to about 16 and you have to pick which direction you're gonna take it, then I think I definitely made the right choice. I don't think I'd have made it very far in the football league.
Nice. So how old were you when you turned pro then?
I was 22, I think, and I had a bit of a decent I had a bit of a decent amateur career, and I represented Ireland. I don't know how many times, maybe 40 times in different international tournaments. And
just like the Olympics, never on the cards or anything like that, or
I would love to have went to the Olympics. There was talk of me having a box off against another boxer for a place to go on the Olympic qualification tournaments for Beijing in 2008, and that never materialized. I felt like it should have, and I felt like I wasn't being treated fairly, and that was one of the main reasons why I turned professional. I'm not saying I would have qualified for the Olympics or I would have went and won a medal, but I should have been given the chance to qualify.
Absolutely.
There was a guy kind of they favorited over me, and he got to go, and I could have waited around another 4 years, but then you're 26 when you're turning pro, and you may not have qualified even. And it's I think I made the right decision and turned over.
Yeah, nice. So obviously, many listening will potentially know that you, as I mentioned in the intro, that you're a 2-weight world champion. So how long into your career was it then that there was talk of you fighting for any titles, not even necessarily world title, but whether it be a Irish, any, or I don't know, Commonwealth ones, anything like that?
Yeah, I fought for a Celtic title, which is Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I fought for that in about my 6th fight or something. And it's more to do with a round. So for title fights, you have to fight. So it needs to be a minimum of 10 rounds. So it was a 10-round fight. So I knew I wanted to win bigger titles, but it was about getting ready to fight for 12-round world title fights. And the Celtic title was a step in the right direction. And I won a Commonwealth title after about, I think it was 11 fights. I won a European title, and then obviously went on to win a couple of world titles. Something I never won was a British title. I wasn't allowed to fight for it. The guy who was the champion at the time just didn't want to fight me, and I felt like I couldn't wait around for him to grow a set. So I had to bypass that.
Not mentioning any names.
No. Well, everyone knows. Any boxing fan would know. I ended up fighting the guy eventually. I boxing for a world title, and I beat him then. But he didn't want to fight me when it was British title level.
Yeah, probably sweeter though getting the world title from him, eh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Right, so we've obviously mentioned about the world title. So, how old were you when you had your first world title fight? Was it like I was talking to, like you said, about Jamie Moore a few days ago. Now, I know he didn't get to the opportunity for the world title, but he was like a last minute. He was like 5 days notice for his European, I think it was, or it might have been his British. And was it anything similar like that to you, or was it? It was.
No, I was getting myself into the position to fight for a world title. The guy who I won my first world title off, Kiko Martinez, Spanish guy, I'd already beaten him for a European title.
Right.
I'd knocked him out in Belfast and took the European title off him. He went on a bit of a run, went to Japan, won the world title away from home, and then he won. He had a couple of defenses, and then I got myself in the position to fight him again, and I beat him. The second time I beat him on points. But I think it was 27 when I fought for a world title the first time.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And then of course you went on to get the featherweight as well. Was it featherweight first or super bantamweight first?
No, so the super bantamweight first, and then I won that. Kiko Martinez had a couple of defenses of my super bantamweight title. Then I unified that division. I fought a guy called Scott Quigg from Manchester in the MEN.
Yeah, I remember those.
Wasn't a brilliant fight, but it was an easy fight for me. It was comfortable.
Yeah.
So I took his title off him, and then I moved up to featherweight and fought a guy called Leo Santa Cruz in Brooklyn. As a massive underdog, first fight in a new division. He was a 3-weight world champion at the time, 4-weight world champion, and not a lot of people thought I could beat him, and I went and beat him, and that was obviously a huge night for me.
Yeah, understandably so as well, mate. So that must have been nice for being the huge underdog as well.
Yeah, up until that point in my career, I'd been the favourite in every fight that I'd went into. Like I'd never been the underdog, so it kind of lifted a little bit of pressure off me, if I'm being honest, because
Right.
people just expected him to win, and I was going there kind of just under the radar. I remember just looking around, and even the media and stuff, the way they were behaving around both of us. He was being treated a lot better than me, being asked more questions. There was little media huddles. There might have been 3 or 4 journalists around me. There was 20 around him, and I just thought, I had it in my head the whole time I was gonna beat this guy, and I did.
Nice. So, I mean, you did go on to lose back in, was it 2018 when you lost the world title?
I lost in 2018 to Josh Warrington. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry. First of all, Leo Santa Cruz, who I beat. I
Yeah.
lost to him in a rematch.
Right.
So it's 1 each. Both fights were good. Both fights were close. Should have been a third one, and every man and his dog knows that I wanted to have the third match, but it hasn't happened for whatever reason. So that was the first defeat of my career. Yeah.
So is that a likelihood of happening again still, do you think, mate? Or is that ship sailed now, do you think? Just
I would love it to happen again, but I think it's past now. I just think it's been too long waiting. And it's a shame, though. It's a real shame. It should have happened. But I think it'll be more of a blotch on his career when you look back on a career and reflect rather than mine, because I was the one always talking about this fight, always wanting to settle the score.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, I beat him, he beat me, both close fights. And he just didn't want to know again once he got one up on me. And it's like, come on, man, you just need to do it. It would have been good for boxing, good for both of our careers, but yeah, it just hasn't happened.
Yeah. So as we mentioned at the beginning, obviously we kind of briefly crossed paths not too long ago through like Nige Travis, who works for the Fire Brigade with me. So when did that happen? Because I don't think you've been. Have you not been training with those guys like Nige and Jamie Moore for all that long?
No, I've teamed up with Nigel and Jamie. It'll be approaching 3 years now. I've been training with them.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's been the best 3 years of my professional career. I've really enjoyed it. I've loved teaming up with the boys. They've taught me a lot. They taught me a lot about myself as well. Good, honest people.
Yeah.
And both of them would do anything for anyone. Like they go to the end of the earth for you.
Yeah.
Just real good people. And yeah, it's been about 3 years now. I've been with them. Nice.
So, no doubt when you come over training, do you come weekly or do you come stay over for a few weeks at a time? How's it work with? Because you still live in Ireland, don't you, at the moment?
Yeah, I live in Belfast. Well, just outside Belfast. I normally it's every weekend, so Monday to Friday over here, and then I get a flight home and see my wife and my kids, and come back on a Monday morning again. But with this coronavirus and this current situation worldwide at the minute, I've been getting the boat from Birkenhead, Belfast to Birkenhead boat, which is 9-hour overnight boat. Just get in the cabin and go to sleep, which isn't bad. I just don't fancy, like, see, to be honest, personally, coronavirus, I know obviously people are worried about it. I'm a young, fit, healthy man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of getting the virus. I'm afraid of getting it and having to pull out of a fight because of it. Right. So I'm taking all the precautions and getting the boat, because I think it's just a bit more safer than being around airports and airplane stuff. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. So it's only every second weekend I'm getting home now, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is.
Yeah, hopefully only a temporary measure, though, mate.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So you just mentioned like your wife and kids. So how do they sort of manage with you obviously being away, and of course if you do fight abroad, like you say you fought in Brooklyn, I know you fought in Vegas and things like that. Is it just something the kids are used to, or is it do you find you tend to have some sort of struggles with that, being a dad and what have you?
Yeah, well, it's not easy. I think the kids have probably just got used to it now, that when I get a camp, I go away and they know I'm not going to be around all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it easy, but it's just the way it is. And the way I look at it is it's a short career, so I'm prepared to put as much effort into it now as I can. Hopefully, reap the rewards at the end of it, and I can relax and chill out with them and do whatever I want, whenever I want. But yeah, it's not easy. It doesn't really ever get any easier either.
Of course.
My missus won't. She used to come and watch all my fights, but I fought Josh Warrington a couple of years ago, and I got beat. And it was a pretty brutal fight, and she can't come back and watch it. She says so. Yeah, I don't think she'll come back and watch me fight until I don't have, I have a couple of years left in this career, so I don't think she'll ever be at ringside to watch me fighting again.
And to be honest, that was going to be my next question. If the not necessarily the missus, but if the kids have ever been watching you.
The kids have been, so we brought them to. My daughter Carla was there for my first world title fight. In 2014. So she would have been only 4 or 5, and the only reason we brought her was because there was no one to babysit her. Like, the whole city was at the fight. Right. So we had to bring her, but she slept through it the whole time. There's great pictures of her sleeping on my dad's knee, right, with my ring jacket on, like, to keep her warm. And the both of them were at a fight when I fought Santa Cruz in Brooklyn. So two of the biggest fights in my career I've had my kids at. And the reason we bought them to Brooklyn was because we wanted to go on a holiday after for about a week and stay in America, and that's what we done. So nice. My missus is like anti, like, having nannies and all this here. She's one of them ones. So the kids were there.
Yeah. Nice. So what's the future looking like for you, mate? Anything lined up yet, or is it just you just keeping yourself fit because we don't know what's going to happen?
I don't have a definite date yet, but I'm hoping to get something announced here and in the next couple of days, and just locked in. Looking like early to mid-August for a fight. Okay. Against a reasonable level of opposition. Hopefully after that, then I've been as good as promised a world title fight and against a guy called Jamel Herring, which would be a world title in my 3rd division. So nice. Give me a chance to become a 3-weight world champion, which Ireland has never had one. I don't think there's been a couple in UK. So if I put myself in that position and become a 3-weight world champion, that would be huge for me, and potentially put myself into the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah, massive legacy as well, that, mate. I'm no doubt you're going to leave a good legacy anyway, but that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the plan, like, and that's the goal, and that's the objective. I genuinely believe I can do it. It's not going to be easy, but I believe I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So with again, talking to Jamie the other day, I know his career was cut relatively short, as he mentioned, about like brain scans and things like that. I mean, is it at the moment, have you got your sights set on a particular age or year that is the maximum you want to box to, or have you not thought that far ahead just yet? Or?
I'm not the youngest in the world anymore. I'm 33. Yeah. I don't have a set figure in my head, but I want to be involved in big fights. So I want to win a world title. That's what I want to do. Hopefully I can do that within 2 fights. And then I'll see after that. We'll just take it from there, see what gets offered, see what the options are. It's just about taking one fight at a time, really, at this stage of my career. I don't have a limit, but I'm not daft. I know that I'm not at the start of my career either. So I'll just take it one fight at a time.
Absolutely, mate. Okay, then, so we're probably close to wrapping it up now, mate. And as you may have, if you've heard any of the other episodes, or I've mentioned to you, I always like to ask the guests that come on to give us maybe a bit of a funny or embarrassing story, just to sort of show that no matter who you are, what you've achieved, whether you're a world boxing champ or not, we've all made a bit of a prat of ourselves at times, mate. So if you've got one, share it with us.
As a kid, there's plenty of stories, but probably I get myself in trouble if I told them. But I'll tell you one that I was a kid, maybe 4 or 5, and me and a friend, a lad and a girlfriend, so there was 3 of us, ended up, I don't know what happened, but we ended up in the nude in an alleyway, us 3, as 4 or 5-year-old, and my dad caught me cycling in a little trike, the three of us. I don't know. I don't really remember what happened, but I remember telling him. I don't know how to hang up. This happened too long. This did actually happen, but I told my dad that a man told us to take our clothes off.
No.
But I don't know if he did or not. I think I might have just made that up because I was embarrassed. But my dad didn't believe me anyway. Anyway, I don't know, bit off topic, bit of a mad one, and there's plenty of stories like that. But yeah, that was the first one came to my head.
Oh, no way. So have you never been caught with the, I mean, you know, Jamie's episode will be on before yours, and he mentioned about getting like debagged in Marbella by, I think it might have been Rocky Fielding, I think he said. And
The boy, listen, that's
you're always doing that at your gym, he said.
It's mental. I don't know. I always tie my shorts up really tight in the gym, and if I don't have a drawstring on my shorts,
yeah,
I'll tape them up because I know it's coming. So it's brutal in that gym, and it's it's just always happens the way it is.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, I suppose, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I got Nigel. I don't know if you've seen this, but I got Nigel in the subway in New York.
Oh no, is it online?
It's on my Twitter feed recently. It's one of the funniest things you'll ever see.
I'll have a
Standing
look.
up on the subway, drops his trousers. A woman gets off her seat in disgust. And Nigel just steals her seat. It's amazing.
I'll have a look for that, mate. Definitely.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thanks again for coming on, mate. So as we're wrapping it up, then obviously I know there probably plenty of people who hopefully follow you anyway. But where can people catch you on social media these days, mate?
I'm on Twitter. I forget my names. Real C Frampton on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Instagram. I can't remember my Instagram name.
I'm sure they'll find you.
The Frampton. So there's a few dodgy ones that have decent numbers on Instagram, maybe 10 or 11,000. I have a right few more than that, but the Frampton is my official one on Instagram.
Nice. I'll find them and put them in the notes of the episode anyway. So
all right.
Right, mate. Take it easy. Thanks very much for coming on again, mate. Really appreciate your time, and hope you stay healthy and get that world title fight very soon.
Good man. All the best, man.
All right. Take it easy, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
Speak soon. Bye.